Hi, I'm Chris Wilson. Every time I mention playing Diablo 2, you guys ask me to try out the Project Diablo 2 mod. I've never actually played it before, so I thought it would be fun to try it out for the first time in a video. My plan is that I play through the first act or so today and discuss my initial impressions as I play. Then I'll keep going off camera over the next few months and do another video later on with my more mature thoughts once I get to the endgame and have experienced a lot of what the mod has to offer. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, I'm gonna go Assassin. Alright, I haven't played Project Diablo 2 before, so I'm not quite sure what to expect. I hear it's got quite a lot of PoE-like features, you know, corrupted items, mapping, that kind of stuff, but I have no idea what that looks like. Okay, it looks like it auto-picked up that gold, which is a thing they introduced in D2R, but it's cool to see it in regular non-D2R D2. Oh, may as well put some armor on. Interesting, both of those. Okay, that's a large inventory. Interesting how this top part of it is kind of dimmed compared to the bottom one. It was interesting how both of the pieces of armor that dropped there were damaged. I wonder if there's like a higher rate that damaged items dropping early on in this mod. Alright, do we support players 4? Okay. Well, that will kick in, I guess, on new monsters. I'm playing in single player, partly so that I can claim that it's an SSF character and I haven't done any trading and stuff. Also because I'm in New Zealand, so I want to keep the latency down. A bit late to the party with this new season release they've got, so I'm not bothering to play online with an economy. Honestly, it doesn't seem like a bad Grand Charm to start with. All the hit recovery I can get is good. Okay, so I've leveled up. Let's see. What's going on? Well, I'm thinking of playing Wake of Fire on this character rather than martial arts, so I guess we have to use Fire Blast to get to Wake of Fire. Well, let's see what the clear potential is like on that. I guess I'm feeling the players 4 kicking in around there when the monsters are taking a few hits to kill. Let's see. I'm hardcore, so I'm going to go Vitality until I have a reason to equip a weapon or something that needs higher stats. Okay, how's the mana use? Oh, that's not too bad. Alright, well, let's do Den. Mana regen's not super fast, so I suspect I'm going to be drinking a lot of mana pots. Okay, shamans. My aiming is terrible. Do I have any mana pots? I do, okay. I kind of need a better belt so that I can hold more than 4 potions. Okay, well I'm thinking I quickly ninja in and get the shamans out using just my claw. Magic boots. Okay, that's sufficient. If I can clear this shaman, I think I'll be good for the Fallen for a while. So it's interesting, this is actually running higher resolution than original D2, and what I mean by that is original Diablo 2 is 640 by 480, quite zoomed in, and then in the expansion they increased it to 800 by 600. When they did this, it basically gave you more visible screen real estate. Everything was still, like the graphics were still the same, but a higher resolution means you can see further. And it looks like this area down here and on this side imply that not only they bumped it up a little bit, but also they support widescreen. Like I'm playing this at 1080p, and so it fully supports this 16 by 9 or whatever it is resolution. Okay, where are we? Grab a cap. I do not have ID. What's the relative defense? Okay, that goes on. So as a consequence of the high resolution, things feel a bit more zoomed out. Which is appreciated, I guess, especially if I'm playing a ranged character. I suspect that in the event that you're running on a significantly higher resolution, like if you've got a 4K screen or something, they're probably using an upsampler in order to not do nearest neighbor upsampling of the pixels so they're blocky. They're probably using a more intelligent upsampler to smooth it out a bit. I saw a picture of, it was like a picture of Act 5 town from Project Diablo 2 that was taken on a 4K monitor, and it really did have some nice upsampling that was done. It looked a lot more modern than original D2 as a result, even though it's using the graphics from a long time ago. Okay, well, apart from my bad aim, things seem fine in the Den of Evil so far. I wonder if it's easy for me to increase the player count just a little bit further. I don't want to get too greedy there. I mean, playing hardcore, I want to make sure that I'm not accidentally getting in a situation where I can't kill the monsters quickly when I need to. Especially because none of these are champions or anything like that. Okay. What do gems do? Looks roughly the same as vanilla D2. Honestly, considering the amount to which people say this mod is different than D2, I haven't yet seen massive differences this early on. I mean, obviously there's a lot more storage space. I should check out the stash in town. I don't know if I love this additional inventory because there's something about the pressure of the timing of returning to town in original Diablo 2 where your inventory getting full is good pressure for you to go back to town occasionally. It gives you a chance to repair, to vendor items and so on, and it means that your mental load of what you're carrying is a lot easier to manage, and you have a better idea of what you've picked up recently and what you're planning to equip soon. And so by doubling that, it's somewhat doubling the length of the town cycle, which, you know, sounds good at first glance, of course, because you don't have to go back to town as much, but the timing of that was quite an important thing that they tuned for Diablo 2. So I'm not entirely sure that just doubling it without fully considering that is a good idea, but we'll see. I mean, I'm entering this blind, and I'm sure after a lot more playtime I'll have a much better opinion of whether the changes were good or not. Okay, so on this player 6 setting, I'm noticing it's quite a lot harder to kill monsters just with my claw, and I'm eventually probably going to have to switch over to just using my Fire Blast. Speaking of which... Alright, is this a synergy of Wake of Fire? It is. Okay, easy. I should probably check if there's any useful passives I can get at this level, or whether they kick in at 6. Okay, there's another point. Just dump some more in Vitality. Okay, we got a ring. Do we have an ID scroll? We do. Okay, so what can I ID? The boots or the ring? Probably the ring. Attack rating doesn't hurt. Where am I at? 100% chance to hit Fallen. So I note that means they've removed the implicit 95% cap. You know, the whole like, you know, a D20 rolling a 1 makes you miss thing from D&D, which they had in Diablo 1 and 2, appears to be gone. And I kind of like that. I don't mind players getting to a 100% chance to hit. What is a chilling potion? Is that like a fulminating potion, but blue? Alright, well, let's have a look.
I need mana.
I'm such a bad hardcore player, I should be very far away from the monsters. Okay, chilling potion, this one. 3 to 6 cold damage, reduces enemy cold resistance, and doesn't have a quantity. So if I chuck that on... Alright, so I've got my chilling potion. Well, no quantity is pretty cool. I guess I can just spam these all day. Interesting. And I'm assuming that the cold damage one implicitly does less damage because of this chilling effect, which implies that the fire ones are probably better for just clearing monsters with. This isn't using any mana either. It's kind of silly. Now, obviously, of course, we're at really low levels here, and I'm sure that doesn't scale. Like, it explicitly is just a random low-level potion, so I doubt this is a game-breaking tactic. But I note that, you know, it uses a lot less mana than my Fire Blast was. There's a skull. I'm kind of expecting that for gems, they probably have some kind of more complicated gem storage, like the currency tab from PoE or the more recent stuff they added to D2R. The impression I get from what I've heard about Project Diablo 2 is that they have added quite a lot of what people consider modern action RPG features, like it's kind of the modern like live service-ish sorry, live service-ish version of Diablo 2, maintained by the community. Like, I believe it supports loot filters, for example. Okay, well, I probably should go back to actually using Fire Blast correctly. I can probably put an additional point in it. Okay. I'm sure there's some math on whether I'm using the correct player number setting here or whether I should bump it up or even down potentially. Like, it may be better just to get through the areas faster and not spend far too long on the Den of Evil. Is this sufficient? No, he's going to hurt me. Alright, we'll just use some pots. I get the impression that with this character I'm going to be drinking a lot of mana pots. Is that using multiple Fire Blasts at a time? That's kind of cool. More Vite until I need strength for something, I guess. Where are we at? So here, those are not going to help. Yeah, okay, fine. Fire Blast, and next level I'll be able to get Weaker Fire. Yeah, it's definitely throwing multiple ones. Kind of cool. Automatic scaling.
Not enough mana. I need mana.
See, I feel that if I was playing regular D2, by now I would have to go back to town to deal with some stuff, and I haven't yet. So I have more than a regular inventory full of things. And sure, it's less disruptive for this particular area that I haven't had to go back to town yet, but it does mean that the cycle is distorted somewhat. Like, I'm hitting durability loss on a lot of my items. I probably have stuff that I need to sell. And so it feels quite weird that I haven't had to go back to town. Okay, 4 monsters left. I count 2 here. 2 monsters remaining. Looking forward to Burst of Speed. It's the reason why I picked the Assassin. Yep. I enjoy that there's a generation of players out there who have waited so long for me to play Diablo 2 in front of them, and they get to watch me trying to clear the Den of Evil. You know, hunt down the last 2 monsters. Okay, finally got this belt. I can...
The rogue's test.
Do I have rejuves yet? No. Hey, that's kind of cool. It's got this thing that shows you what... It shows you what potions there are stacked up with little things. Okay, that's cute. Okay, right. Yeah, as I suspected, that's a lot of storage. Okay, so there's a lot of shared tabs. 1 personal tab for your character. And as predicted, we have some type of... Interesting, do these only store? Maybe that's for upgrading. Do these store these? Like, can I... Shift right, transfer. No, I can't even store chippies and stuff in there. It's only for high level stuff. That's very interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess I can check them in my personal tab for now. Alright, that's just making sure I understand what they do. Wait, I'm dropping those. That's not a feature that was in original Diablo 2. Okay, how do I transfer? Shift right. Yeah, I'll get it, I'll get it. Okay, we've got some stuff to ID. That is good. We get additional damage if I'm hitting people with my scepter. Oh, sorry, my guitar, but more importantly, we've got some additional mana. In regular D2, IDing scepters and hoping for good stuff would let you sell them for a lot of gold. Let's see if that's the case.
You have cleansed the den of...
Okay.
Good day.
Is that worth a lot of gold? It is. Do I take the 5,000 now? It's at cap, so maybe it's better to wait until Act 2. Well, I'll hold on until I need to buy something. Okay, so my boots are trashed. Let's... I mean, whatever. That's better. The bow can go. Keep the Grand Charm. Is that worth anything? No. But I do have my theory that it is going to do more damage here, 5 to 15. Okay, so I've got a lot of pots. That's all good. Can I afford a tome? I can, I guess. I'll just do that. Put it down here. Am I going to need more pots for now? That's probably fine. What was that? Lock equipment and charm inventory. Does that prevent me? Oh, interesting. I wonder what the purpose of that is. Just preventing you from selling stuff. I did vendor my favorite bow in D2 by accident a long time ago, so I appreciate why that exists. Okay, where to from here? My gloves are wrecked, but I don't have an obvious upgrade. Don't need to go back to the den. Okay, well let's just try to push forward to the cold plains and get some more experience. I am level 5. That's right, I got a new point from clearing the Den of Evil. Okay, well, I mean, so far this feels a lot like regular D2. There's some minor differences, which is cool. I appreciate the variety. After, you know, playing Diablo 2 for 25 years, it's nice to have a mod where things are a bit different. I believe that things get a lot more different by endgame. I'll be very interested to see if they've augmented the set of uniques and rune words and so on to add quite a lot of additional endgame builds. Okay, remember your D2, Chris. Follow the road. Is that efficient experience-wise? Or just lose the road entirely? Oh, it branched off to the left up here. Okay. Getting to larger monster density in order to be more effective for experience is, of course, a great strategy, but doing that in hardcore and pushing a bit too hard will be the undoing of this character. I would like to be able to come back later and say, you know, look, I took it to the end game and it hasn't died, I never died in this mod or something like that, but that requires actually not getting greedy. Right, we have a waypoint. What's the shrine? I wonder if there are new shrine effects. Okay, it's refilling. It's good to know about. Okay, keep away from these guys. Okay, well that's moderately straightforward. I wonder if I should be increasing the... Maybe I'll try players 8. This may be a mistake.
I need mine.
Okay, so I have to be careful with the Fallen to take out the... What are blunt arrows? And why are they grey? Is that socketed? Or is that, like, ethereal? Looks like it's socketed. Interesting. +2 to maximum damage. There's many different types of quivers. That's kind of cool. A bit like PoE. I notice it doesn't have quantity. Does that just mean they got rid of the idea of having ammo? I guess that's streamlining that is common in modern action RPGs that we're going to see a lot of here. Okay, well at this rate, the amount of mana potions I'm going through means that I'm probably going to need to go back to town and buy some. Which means I will need a source of gold beyond what I'm just picking up. To the cave.
Not enough mana.
I'm thinking that the best strategy here is just push forward, kind of grazing on the monsters as I go. You know, where it's efficient to gain experience. Okay, so I'm level 6 now, which potentially means I can use Wake of Fire. Let me just make sure I'm not in any immediate danger.
Enough mana. I need mine.
Okay, right, let me just check my amulet. More attack rating. Again, not super useful if I'm becoming a pseudo-caster, but we'll swap it out later on. And Wake of Fire is level 12. Okay, cool. Well, then we will keep using Fire Blast until level 12. Is there anything else coming up? Like Burst of Speed requires a prereq of Claw and Dagger Mastery? That does look good, and I want that, so I'm going to get it. Because my clear speed is currently fine. And that seems reasonable. I mean, I guess I don't need to rush into Wake of Fire when it's clearing just fine as it is. Bit mana hungry. I haven't really been in any serious danger yet, but then I guess we're just in the cold plains. there's this trade-off between gathering enough monsters to make killing efficient and actually, you know, being safe the whole time. And the tricky thing with playing hardcore in a new mod is just the not quite knowing what a danger is. Like, I've played enough D2 that at any stage I can assess how much danger I'm in, and it's, you know, I'm not going to use the word safe because I'm not a great player, but at least I know what I'm getting into. Whereas in this mod, there could be something that does a ton of damage and I just walk into it blindly, where an experienced player would understand the signs. But that's what makes it fun. I mean, I kind of feel, you know, playing hardcore gives things quite a lot of meaning. Otherwise, you can just attrition the content down. Okay, it's quite a lot of monsters here. I feel that things seem a bit darker than original Diablo 2 as well, like in terms of light radius and stuff. Like it's perpetually night here. Okay, where's this leading? Is this going to the burial grounds? Well, do I want a mercenary? I guess I do, right? Like, charge potion. That reminds me, I need to test out this fulminating one. That's not super efficient. I mean, it's better mana-wise. I wonder if I 1 to 14, 5 to 15. Okay, oh, that's better. But what does this do? I mean, it's kind of cool. Plus, I wonder, like, do I just do this plus a shield for the time being? Like, I don't need my guitar, because this is the low mana alternative. So, I do want to kill Bloodraven, because I want that rogue mercenary to help defend, like, to distract monsters. Is this useful? I mean, I guess I should do that only when I've run out of fire blasts. Okay, now we have to be careful of Bloodraven wrecking me from a distance. What? I'm not quite sure what the symbol above the monster's heads is referring to there. Oh, that's the reduced lightning resistance, right? Okay, from the bomb I'm throwing at them. Okay, do I want to be hitting Bloodraven instead? Probably, because I can move away from her minions. I'm gonna die eventually, aren't I? Like. Feels that clearing these guys out is sensible just to reduce the mass of enemies that are around. I have not made good progress against Bloodraven so far. Ah, this is because I'm on player's 8. Well, this is not going according to plan. I mean, I just need to keep on my feet, otherwise those fire trails are going to get me. We're coming back later on. I mean, when I can do additional damage, that fight will be a lot easier, or maybe I can turn the player number down. Okay, so if the burial grounds is there, I'm going to follow the road and try to find the stony field so I can push ahead through this act. I do kind of like these potions. I know that they obviously are not going to be scaling with my level like my skills are, but it's kind of fun to just have a free mana thing. Okay, so almost at the next level where I get to get burst of speed. What does burst of speed actually get me in this mod? Walk and run speed. Is that it? And attack speed, but then I'm not technically attacking with Fire Blast, so it's mostly the walk and run speed, which I do appreciate, because being able to get out of danger, of course, is going to be important. Yep. Ideally, every scepter I find is additional... Nope, that doesn't have skills on it. I'm making assumptions about which items are valuable to sell for gold based on regular D2. I don't know the extent to which they've changed that. I do quite like, from a design point of view, there being an unevenness where certain items are worth significantly more, and you kind of learn that over time. Right, another Grand Charm. Additional gold from monsters. I mean, so here's another consequence of the huge inventory, right? In regular D2, I would say, and like with this key, for example, in regular D2, I would argue I don't have time or capacity to be storing keys in my inventory or carrying around Grand Charms that just give me a little bit of extra gold. But with this gigantic inventory, you know, there's no harm in carrying additional stuff, right? There's plenty of room for keys, there's plenty of room for charms. I'm making assumptions that the whole inventory has charms work. Like, I notice that there's two different colors here, right? Have I, like... Because it refers to it as charm inventory rather than inventory, and there's this lighter and darker color. Does this mean a charm works here and doesn't work here or something? Can I... No, there's no advanced stats thing like in D2R to be able to see if the faster hit recovery is affecting me. But when I eventually find a charm that has stats that I can see on my character screen, I'll double check to see if it affects me regardless of where in the inventory it is. Does this mean that endgame Project D2 characters just have that much completely filled with skillers? If skillers still exist? I actually disliked that about LOD balance, the fact that so much of your damage, especially on casters, came from spell levels, and so the way to build was to get like plus 30 to all spells by just decking yourself out in specific uniques and rune words, and it was quite homogenized item balance. Like plus skills was really the thing that mattered, and it comes, like, you know, you're not getting it from most rares, you're getting it from, you know, specific uniques and rune words and a pile of charms in your inventory. Okay, so we're looking for the Stony Field, which is this, hopefully. Yep. Ideally grabbing a waypoint while we're in here. Okay, Players 8 still seems fine, but I notice I haven't actually run into any, you know, champions or other difficult bosses or anything like that. I am a little concerned with how hard Bloodraven was, that maybe there's Recognition. Okay, what I'm going to do, I understand this may not affect him because I've already spawned him, but I'm going to temporarily reduce this to Players 5, just because when I do run into champions and bosses, I don't want it to be too difficult to kill them. That will take effect soon, hopefully, with some new monsters. I also note that because I've leveled up... Okay, so I'm continuing to dump points in Vitality, but I'm aware of the fact that eventually when I need like 30 more Strength or something, I'm not going to be able to get that quickly, so I'm going to slow down dumping points in Vite. Maybe I'll proactively put these ones in Strength. Burst of Speed. Okay, so I'll put Finalist here. There's Burst of Speed. Okay. Nice speed increase. That's worth it. Okay, so what are we doing? We're in Stony Field, set the Players 5, Recognition was to the north, just clearing out some Fallen. It's only worth doing that if there's no Shamans nearby. I need to get out of the habit of running point blank up to the monsters when I'm a ranged character.
Not enough mana.
To be honest, this shocking potion here basically does the same damage that my Flame Bust appears to be doing, so it's kind of silly wasting the mana potions on using it. Right, Superior Javelin. I wonder if that's going to be worth something in town. There's a Shaman. Okay, well I still haven't found where the Shaman is, and I'm aware that he's lightning enchanted, so I mustn't get too close.
I need mana.
So Chippy. It's kind of a shame they have this over-the-head, like, you know, resistance reduction thing applying even for something as small as, you know, the small bonus that we're getting there. Okay, so I noticed that Burst of Speed has a marker down there saying how long is left on it. That's pretty cool. I like how subtle that is, but it also lets me track it well. Okay, I'm actually making headway here at all. I mean, if there's a shaman around, I haven't seen where he is. Probably silly for me to use this against Rakinishu, who's probably lightning resistant. Okay, that means we need one of those in the belt. In fact, the whole pack is probably lightning resistant because of the fact they're Rakinishu's minions. I noticed the recovery with flasks is actually quite slow. I guess that's a reason to use bigger flasks and that you'll recover more per second. Yeah, this is a bit silly, just hitting him from point blank. He's so close to dying. Alright, couple of rares. Okay, so I noticed we have the same problem as before, where normally, like, my feeling is I should be going back to town, right? I got an inventory full of stuff, I've been making progress, I want to go repair again, things are getting damaged, but I haven't got the pressure to go back to town because my inventory is not actually full yet. It's by no means mandatory. Hey, an experience shrine. Okay, we like those. Alright. Let's go find some monsters. Now, were either of those rares relevant to me? There's a wolf head and a small shield. Small shield, this is relevant. I can use shields.
Can't.
It goes right on. Okay, cool. What were the stats on that? Okay, well, I mean, they're stats, right? Slight benefits. I wonder if throwing knives sell for anything in town. Okay, we need some monster density to take advantage of this experience shrine. Well, that champion bird thing wasn't particularly hard. I'm noticing here, with the amount of inventory space I have, I can just pick up everything and not really care whether or not there's accidentally a fulminating potion or poison potion worth only 12 gold. Yeah, the erosion of item weight here is noticeable, that I'm feeling less attached to individual things in my inventory because it's this giant bag of holding. I am hoping that as I find items I'm proud of later, I get more attachment to the stuff I'm finding. Okay, what did I just want to check? That was a Grand Charm that I need to look at. Forta mana. Okay, so the experiment here. That does affect... My mana is not changing when it's up there. My mana is changing at the bottom. Right, okay. Yep, alright, so my intuition was correct, that charms do not work when they're in half the inventory. Which is why it's colored differently. Okay, I understand. That's not intuitive at all. Like, it's really only the designer in me that was thinking, or have they really just doubled the amount of charms you can have that affect you, that caused me to even question that in the first place? Like, until then I kind of seriously thought that it would work regardless of where it was in the inventory. Is there, like, something where you put it up here and it... Because it says keep an inventory to gain bonus, which is the regular text from original D2. I wonder if they could say, like... Because charms are the only thing that uses that string. They could instead say, keep in lower half of inventory to gain bonus or something like that. To make it clear. Or potentially, like, if they're actually able to do code editing or whatever, they could have it say, when it's in the upper half of the inventory, it could directly say, like, this does not affect you, it's not in the charm portion or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I sympathize with modders because obviously you're working with someone else's game and it's hard to make arbitrary changes. I come from a privileged position of having developed the games that I play for the most part, and so I can easily make changes. I'm used to, if I don't like something, I just go get it fixed. So it is kind of a bit weird, there being constraints where they're modifying a game that was made, decades and decades ago. They don't have the source code to it. They basically just have to try their best with what they have available. Okay, right, so back on track after that rant. Waypoints up here. I mean, I'm doing okay survivability-wise so far. I guess I'll continue a bit more in strength for when I need, have options with better armor. And what are we doing over here? Does more bursts of speed actually matter? Well, not really, right? Like, I get an extra 5 seconds of duration and an extra 2% walk or run speed. I can worry about that later. Are there any other skills I care about here? So Cloak of Shadows, that's going to be good. And weapon block is good, but they're level 12. So I will need Psychic Hammer eventually to get Cloak of Shadows. Fade's good. But for the time being, it's just more Fire Blast. Is Shockwave useful? That's got a lot of synergies. It's got synergies from Wake of Fire and Fire Blast. I'll worry about that later. More Fire Blast for now. I mean, I still find myself using my charged flask that I'm throwing at enemies, so that suggests that I need more damage from Fire Blast. Okay, and still no town trip. Though soon. There's a well if I need it. Okay, I need to actually work out where I'm going. Does the path... Okay, Stonyfield has the underground passage from it, which means I'm looking for a cave either sitting in the level or on the perimeter. Does the road lead to it? The road does lead to it, right? Okay, cool. So I'm looking for the road. The road's up here. Okay. Oh, cool. I'm going to throw a whole bunch of these now. That's nice. And you appear to be able to hit the same target multiple times, which is cool. Get a stamina shrine. About to level up, which means more damage. Small charm. Alright, I'm full at last. Do I have anything obvious I can throw away yet? Like a cracked quilted armor.
Not enough mana.
Okay, leveled up. Scepter.
Can't carry anymore.
Yeah, this is definitely faster clear speed now than the using the potion to throw at the enemies.
I can't carry anymore.
I want my charm. Okay, what have we got that we can throw away? Random cap, defense, fine, that one can go. Large charm, really should go to town shortly. But my theory is that I will find the underground passage here. I need to be more careful. I just walked around a corner without even looking, and if those monsters were dangerous, could have lost the character.
Not enough mana.
Okay. Right, we're going to town. Bunch of admin to do now, which is honestly kind of the fun bit. Okay, where do we start? Well, I probably need to be getting a town portal book so I can tidy up the scrolls there.
Hello.
Okay, Scepter, unfortunately not worth a lot. Can I ID my small charm? 7% extra gold required, level 15, I assume because the ratio is better than that one. That's worth a little bit, so that's good to know. What did that say? Okay, it does more crits. Melee attacks deal splash damage. Not entirely sure how I feel about that, but I'll have to try it out if I get a chance to play melee. Is this still druid only? Yes. Okay, I wonder if it's worth more if I ID it. It is. Not a bad one. Going to the shop. Is that worth picking up? Maybe. +1 maximum damage. So, honestly, the mana there is the only useful thing I even have from my jewelry at all. Does that affect Fire Blast? It doesn't. I mean, the dex... Like, honestly, that's not useful either. I'll sell that one for now. Can do better with things with the gold. Okay. And then I'm going to grab one of these books. Swap it down here. What are you worth? A little bit. You guys can go in the book. And I need to grab some more scrolls. Honestly, I feel that this is basically me recording a video doing housekeeping. Okay, were you useful? Hit recovery, yes. The large charm here. Due to strength, I'll take... Well, do I even need it? Like, it'll help with equipment, but am I really going to be like using my precious inventory space to... That goes in the stash. Okay. And the rest is potions and gems. So I'm going to grab some more of these. Grab some more of these. Stash my gold. Repair my stuff. Vitality for now. You can go in Fire Blast. What was the hotkey to not drop it on the ground? Shift right. And then there's just kind of this mess of potions up here. But that's D2's potion system. Alright, quick repair. Yeah, it's interesting. When we were designing Path of Exile, we wanted to get rid of gold. As you know, Path of Exile launched without gold, and the theory here was no one was using gold in trade, they were using Stone of Jordans and runes and that kind of stuff, so we decided we would embrace the fact that people were going to use arbitrary, homogeneous, essentially currency items, and so we came up with PoE's currency system, and as a result, we didn't need gold in the game, because our thinking was, well, what is gold even used for? It's used for reviving your mercenary, we don't have that. It's used for repairing, and we thought, well, durability didn't feel good, so we didn't have that. It's used for buying potions, but we were already discussing a potion system that auto-regenerated as you kill monsters, so we didn't need that either. And it eventually came down to the fact that we associated gold with purely, like, busy, remedial work. And sure, you can buy items from the vendors with it, but we figured, well, the currency system lets you essentially barter, you can trade a orb of transmutation for one of them or whatever. And so this worked fine, it was okay, we launched without gold, and it was only brought back, I believe, many years later, to facilitate the trade system, the fee for trades, that is. And the consequence, though, was that it meant the game didn't have repairing and didn't have reviving mercs and a bunch of other small things. Like, we took away durability mostly because it would mean we needed something like gold, rather than actually thinking through whether durability was a useful thing for the game or not. And while durability is purely friction, and people don't like friction, it does help in that it is part of the town cycle where it feels that you're keeping on top of your stuff. It pairs quite well with the idea of your inventory getting full and you accumulating stuff you need to deal with. But it's small stuff like that that makes items feel real, where they gradually get worn down. Especially useful in a game like Diablo 1, of course, where often your ability to repair stuff is quite limited. If you're playing Iron Man, like I did with some friends a few months ago on the channel, you get a situation where you literally can't repair in town, you have to repair in the field, and then durability matters an awful lot. Okay, mana amulet. That is good. And another ring. Mana ring. Happy with that. These things are getting sold. You have no mods on you. Wait, that might be better than what I'm currently using. 24. Yep, okay. The irony is that despite me, caring about upgrading my armor there, I still will run between enemies, reducing my armor to 0. Or at least it did in regular D2. Does it do it here? I mean, it's not displaying the defense setting 0 when I run. I shouldn't make assumptions, though. Like, I don't know if that's something they changed in Project D2 because they didn't like it. I went into this having done no research about stuff like that, so it could very well work just like D2, or could very well be something that they went and changed. Okay, so we have a skull cap. That's also an upgrade. 13 defense rather than 5. Gradually getting our defense up. Honestly, I remember the monsters in regular D2 doing more damage than these monsters are. I wonder if they did actually tune down the balance of Act 1. Or whether it's just my faulty memory. Right? Like, I'm closer here to far more monsters than I should be. And what have I done defensively? I've clicked on bite a bunch of times. That's literally it. I'm spending time picking up items rather than efficiently kiting the monsters. Okay. Can clear this up a little bit. rejuves, they go on the belt, because I'm playing hardcore. And there's the diamond that I remember dropping. Okay. Charmed ID. Defense. That really isn't worth it. I imagine that this playthrough is very weird to existing Project D2 people who understand, having played the game a bunch. You know, they've done their league starts so many times by now that, you know, they understand very efficiently how to play. It must be a bit weird watching me play where I just don't know the tricks for this particular mod. I'm making assumptions based on what works in original D2, and also playing, honestly, a lot more slowly than I'd like to, because I'm both narrating it and playing hardcore in a foreign mod. I feel the drop rate of jewelry is just incredibly high. That was something we put a lot of work into balancing in D2, and particularly in Ruthless as well. Like, one of the characteristics of Ruthless's balance was significantly lower jewelry drop rates. Like, it became just it went from a regular equipment slot to something that was really special to actually find and get items for. And one of the issues that we found with doing that kind of thing is that because Orbs of Alchemy uniformly apply to any base type, you get these situations where it's better to save your Orbs of Alchemy for the slots that are hard to find base types for, especially in a game that has scours available. Whereas if you're just going to be finding a lot of, you know, rares of a certain other type, there's no need to spend alchs on them, but if it's really hard to find rings or amulets, then you want to use them on those slots. And so that's one of the tricky things about having something that blanket applies to all the base types, where you have differences in the rarity of the base types. Is the best thing to do is to save it for the good base types. Now, D2 itself does have essentially the Orb of Alchemy in the Imbue quest, assuming that's still in Project Diablo II, and so I imagine if they do have certain base types that are rarer than others, you get a situation that's very similar. Okay, what are we looking at? Some more charms to ID. I'm also finding a lot of charms. Okay, so this one has cold damage, which I believe doesn't affect my Fire Blast. A Steam notification there. Right. So with my mana as it is at the moment, I'm finding it a lot easier to just spam Wake of Fire, not having to use my, to spam Fire Blast, not having to use my little charged flask very much. He says, switching back to charged flask. Okay, here's a boss. I'm noticing immediately it's doing slightly more damage than I'm getting from the other monsters. I think what I'll do once I get through to the Dark Wood and tag that waypoint is go back, do Bloodraven. I'm probably more capable of doing it at this stage. Okay, there's a rejuve that I definitely want. This one goes down into that slot. Oh, so much junk. Just get rid of a bunch of these. Okay. I did note there was a small shield there that was magic, and that there's a chance that's an upgrade for me. But low on inventory space. Okay, what are we seeing? Big mana potion, some boots. Always going for that run speed. Well, they're an upgrade, right? 3 defense versus 2. I guess we'll take that. Okay. Gonna level up soon, and we'll hit level 11, getting close to actually being able to use Wake of Fire. Okay, so it's worth considering that at 12, not only can I start to get Wake of Fire, but I can also get Cloak of Shadows. And if I'm doing that, I might want to put this 11th point in the prereq. How important is Cloak of Shadows going to be? Well, honestly, I'm not really struggling as much as I thought I would be yet. Even against boss/minion packs like that one. Okay. Faster hit recovery, all res 4, more defense than well, not more defense than I currently have. Okay, well that's a clear upgrade. Back to town.
Good day.
I also realized I didn't stash my gold. Oh, I guess that's irrelevant, we're playing hardcore. Okay, you can go away, you can go away, you can go away. You go away. So it's 5 mana, 2 mana, 5 mana, which is helping. That's a lot more casts. Bunch of gems, bunch of potions. So 4 mana. I honestly don't even think I need to be keeping these gold charms. Maybe I'll get rid of that one. Hit recovery, yes, good. 2 strength, that goes in the stash. Okay, shift right click. You go in the stash. Okay. Just quick repair while I'm here. Allocate some points.
Good day.
Right, where am I going with armor? Like, what are we talking? 27 strength. That requires 36 strength. Maybe I want to be using ring mails eventually. Where am I at? I'm just going to put all invite. And so this will be the final point in Fire Blast for a little bit before we start doing Wake of Fire. Okay, back up 1 level, find the stairs to the Dark Wood, die to Treehead Woodfist. We've got a plan. A plan that involves forgetting about Burst of Speed for the last 20 minutes. I feel the dopamine in this game is just the ding from the gems and the rings. Like whoever, I don't know if the sound effect was from a sound effect pack or whether Matt Nolan made it himself, but like that sound effect has caused so much positive feelings across humanity. Like consider the tens of millions of people that played Diablo 2 and who felt good things when they heard a ring drop or whatever as a result of, you know, that sound work. Yep, my fortune for an enigma, right? I wonder to what extent they changed the actual campaign level layouts and stuff. Like, I've seen some screenshots of Project Diablo 2 where the areas do look very different than the base game. It's likely that those are in-game maps or whatever they've got going on later on, but I wonder if I'm going to encounter anything like that in the campaign.
I need mana.
This current relatively easy difficulty is not giving me good habits with regard to tanking damage. The temptation here is to increase the player count. to make it a bit, make the monsters a bit more tanky now that I've got good damage and enough mana. But I am also aware of the fact that, you know, the second I run into a big boss, the more exposure I've got to its life pool, because it's higher player numbers, the more risk I have of dying in that fight. Greedily jump on the ring right away. +1 dex attack rating. Take that. I think I just need to push faster. Like, less time micromanaging potions and just push, push, push. Being a little careful to kill the monsters as I find them here, just because the tree head guys are not going to get off me once they get me.
I can't carry anymore.
23 defense and auto repair durability. Well, that's irrelevant. Hey, I see the waypoint. Okay, and a skill shrine. Well, that should be cool. That's a good preview of additional damage. Yeah, it's punchy.
Not enough mana.
Be a bit careful though with Storm Froth.
Not enough mana.
Interesting, magic bolts. So I guess you can get ammo that's magic in this mod. I mean, this is a thing we did in Path of Exile, letting you get quivers that are magic and so on. Again, because of the, you know, the no gold thing, we did away with ammo being a thing that you have to purchase and manage. It's interesting. Regular vanilla D2 players don't complain, at least I haven't seen complaints, you know, in the last couple of decades, about the fact that you have to buy ammo to be in Amazon. You know, that you're constantly having to just go out and buy arrows. I guess it's part of the repair process for them. It does, to some extent, make the bow feel slightly more real, because you're actually firing things where there is a number of them, and you do have to, like, pay a little bit of lip service to that, which I do appreciate. Like, I think those small touches, to make things slightly more diegetic, do go quite a way towards making the game feel real. And that cutting them all out does, I guess it makes it a little bit more arcadey. There's less of a world in that case and more of a game. Here's Treehead. Okay, bit of care. I really do feel the potions healing you so slowly compared to regular D2. Okay, what have we got? A ruby. I'm looking forward to the cube so I can cube some of the stuff up. At this stage, I think that I'm not needing to gem anything up. Like, I guess, like using, you know, putting my hardcore hat on for a second, I guess I could be making some, you know, ruby armors or something if I can find something with sockets, maybe at the vendor, you know, get an extra 20 or so life that way. Alright, Tree of Innovis. I found the waypoint, and that means it's time to go to Tristram. Right, am I running back or TPing? Hey. Okay. Quick town stop. Do Tristram. Do Bloodraven.
Ah, very. Yes.
Nope. 3 3 to life or 5 to mana. I think the mana has a lot more impact at the moment. I'm only around 60, so I don't need the life. You can go. Is the rest just potions? Is this how life is? It's just going to be potions? Okay. Morvite and Wake of Fire. Okay. Fire Blast, Wake of Fire, burst of speed on. Did I get an extra point? Okay, I'll put it in the synergy. You go to there. Stony Field. Where are the stones? I'm gonna have to get used to how to position. Hey, I can put Fire Blast on my left click. Put you there. Nice. I haven't actually played a trap sim for 20 plus years, and so I do need to get used to how I'm placing traps again. Alright, time to die to Griswold.
Tristram, first to fall to Diablo's
How quickly can I place these? Oh yeah. It's kind of silly.
Not enough mana.
Okay, there's Griswold and another boss, and he's cursed of course, so gotta be careful for a second. Right, yeah, I see what you meant to do now.
Mana.
Okay, what is the mana cost on this? 5. Can I just stack them? Right, but further away. Like this?
Not enough mana. Not enough mana.
Alright. May as well just get in there and tag Kane to see if there's any champions for experience.
Kane, go to the rogue camp.
I guess there's enough stash space that it's easy to grab a Wurt's leg for cows later. Decent amounts of gold, a few hundred per stamina. Yeah, I'm seeing very few changes to the actual core campaign so far. It is interesting because if they've put effort into making custom levels from maps, I'm surprised they aren't like front-loading some of the shock and awe there, of the fact that they're capable of doing that, because it's hard. Like, this is an arbitrary file format, and there's random level generation in play. Though, to be fair, I don't know whether random level generation is actually being used in their map system. It might be. That'd be cool. Like, it's just data, right, that's getting consumed by the generator, so hopefully they can work that out. Alright, we're just going back to town. Quick stop in at Bloodraven, I guess. Leveled up, so more Vite. What's the best thing to level here? 3 to see. Yeah, there's a big jump for Wake of Fire. I noticed the mana cost for that is going up.
You have risked your
She gave me a ring. Right, what do we got? Poison length reduction, not relevant yet. I can just use some antidotes later when we're fighting Andariel. Ring of Dexterity, that goes in the stash. This is all fine. Okay. Belt okay. I really actually do need to put some mana potions here, just proactively, so I don't have to pop the inventory open so much. You can go in there. Thanks, Kane. Cold Plains. And it was up here somewhere. Honestly, if you told me 25 years ago that it would take me an hour to get to Bloodraven, in D2, I wouldn't believe you. But I guess I'm just, you know, trying to be as careful as I can here. This should go a lot better this time. Partly due to being level 13 in Cold Plains. Wait, have I weapon swapped? I have, okay. Could have gone badly. Oh, it certainly means I don't have to aim. Now I do have to be careful about the surprise, like trails of fire from her if I'm not paying attention. Like that. Noting it's a bit hard to see when it happens considering I'm using fire myself so much. Her zombie's incredibly sped up.
Not enough mana.
Okay.
I need mana.
Yeah, the gravestone's kind of occluded a little bit. Can I just spam, can I just spam Fire Blast on her? Is that more efficient? Kind of. Okay. So that'll give me a rogue mercenary. Well, I'm making assumptions, but I believe that's the case. Cascio, where are you?
Greetings. Welcome. I can hardly believe.
Hi, Ellie. Named after the community manager, I guess, from back in the day. Cool. Okay, how are we doing for mana? Buy a few more of those. Okay. Doing well. Okay, it's kind of plain sailing from here, right? Follow the road until I get to the monastery. I keep reading light bolts as light belt and getting excited. Okay, well, if we're going to follow the road, I need to actually go to the road to do so. It's interesting that at the top right here there's a ping, which is fluctuating between 0, 15 and so on, which I assume is the fact they've got a local game server running in the single player client and it's communicating with the display layer. And, you know, the ping is the, like, you know, if it's a frame late in doing processing, then you get 1 frame worth of ping displaying at 15 milliseconds or whatever. Okay.
I need mana.
Yeah, Wake of Fire is pretty OP. I feel I can kind of just place it down randomly without really even being able to see the monsters and people die. Okay, so something to consider is I need to get some bits and pieces together for my mercenary over time. Because mercenary surviving equals me surviving. I know this is heresy, but sometimes I think that a few points in energy would actually pay off from a convenience point of view massively, and I can just respec them way later once I've got whatever endgame mana solution sorted out.
I am overburdened.
Like, I'm aware that the standard logic in hardcore is just stick all your points on vitality unless you need it to equip something, but there is this temptation to just be, you know, if I'm sitting there chugging mana potions all day, to just stick 10 points in energy and gain benefit from that. Oh dear. Honestly, I don't even think I need to be carrying so many health potions around. I'm barely using them.
I need mana.
It's basically just mana potions. I wonder if I just... Alright, Countess, do we do it? I mean, runes are good, right? This is... I'm assuming it has the silly rune words like, you know, spirit and stealth and lore and that kind of stuff available, so...
Not enough mana.
But maybe, like Bloodraven, the best thing to do is just come back when I'm a few levels higher and keep focusing on making progress forward through the campaign. Amulet. Okay, I'm on the road. What if I got greedy and actually just filled my belt with mana potions? Helpful. So this cave here is not one I need to go in. It's just to a side area. Which means we're following the road to try to get to... Where are we next? The Tummo Highland? Doing well for rare shields in this game. That's the third one. Like rare small shield. Literally, I swapped one for another and this is another one here.
Not enough mana.
Might as well ID it and see what we're getting. Faster block, blocking, defense, life, poison resist, 2 mana after each kill. Well, those are magic words right there. I noticed there's 80 scrolls in each of those books. This is another kind of item weight undermining thing where, like, it essentially just becomes, you know, infinite scrolls. You don't need to worry about it. That's got a skill on it. Okay, so 2 mana per kill theoretically is going to pay for my Wake of Fire pretty well. Like, if I throw one down here...
I need mana.
Did that even trigger it? I feel I killed monsters there. Okay, let's make some room in the belt to chuck some mana potions in. And keep an eye on whether this is actually working.
I am overburdened.
I don't believe you. Okay, what if it's this kind of kill? Does that count as... Okay, I have determined that kind of kill is not practical. Hi, I'm Chris Wilson's inner Diablo II knowledge that should know what's going on here. Your traps are minions, and you obviously don't get mana on kill from your minions' kills. Alright, back to the video. There is a kind of a problem with action RPGs, both old and new, where, you know, there's arbitrary rules about what affects what. You know, I understand you can't have everything affect everything else because then you get some abuse cases, but it is a little arbitrary when you see a thing that says +2 mana after each kill, and then you just don't see your mana going up upon killing monsters. And sure, there's a reason for it. you know, I don't claim to understand this particular one, but it is a bit frustrating when stuff doesn't work exactly as you expect it to do. Okay, I'm going to end the video at this point. I did play through the rest of Act 1 in this session, but I honestly feel that section has less interesting commentary and drags on a bit. I've uploaded the remainder of what I recorded in an unlisted YouTube video if you really want to watch it. The link is in the description. I've enjoyed playing Project Diablo 2 so far. I get the feeling that most of the big changes are further on in the game, so I'm going to keep playing in my spare time, and once I get to the endgame and have experienced most of what the mod has, I'll make another video with more thoughts on the whole thing. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and consider subscribing. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.